It was a shocking performance by a man of Mbeki's high intellectualism and Pan-African commitment. He and the AU have since redeemed themselves by quickly realizing that the linkages and synergies between Africa and its diaspora are some of the most vital things to lift the mother continent from underdevelopment. For years, such a linkage had been the one sure thing that imperialism had feared. That was why various attempts were made in the past by the powers that be to keep Africa and its diaspora apart. Those powers knew, for example, that Israel would have less clout today without the linkages and synergies between the Jewish state and the wider Jewish diaspora in areas such as inward investment and the political support and lobbying done on behalf of Israel by the diaspora. Now, realizing the initial mistake, the AU is singing a new song. It is the top priority of the AU, that's the African Union, to embrace and encourage Africans in the diaspora to come home and fully participate in the social and economic development of their motherland. The development of this important effort will be a test of my success, says the new AU Commission Chairman, Alpha Konaré, the former president of Mali. This recognition of the diaspora did not come cheap. It was the result of months of soul-searching by AU leaders and functionaries. In the end, the AU Ad Hoc Ministerial Committee was empowered to come up with recommendations. Their report on the proposed amendments to the AU's Constructive Act, published in the middle of last year, contained 6 amendments, one relating to the African diaspora. The committee recommended that the AU invite and encourage the full participation of Africans in the diaspora in the building of the African Union in its capacity as an important part of our continent. 2 definitions of the diaspora were considered. In the narrow sense, the diaspora includes all Africans currently residing anywhere outside the continent of Africa. And B, a broad and historic sense whereby the diaspora comprises all Africans and their descendants who had left or been taken from Africa by force and still consider themselves Africans. After much debate, it was fully decided that the overall principle underlying both definitions should be retained and incorporated in the AU's Constructive Act. During the debate, a number of proposals were made, such as the need to convene a forum between the AU and the diaspora to chart the way forward, and also to set up a coordinating mechanism within the AU Commission in Addis Ababa to deal with the issues relating to the diaspora. After months of consideration, the idea was moved from words, and for 4 days, the first Diaspora African Forum will be held in Accra, Ghana, under the theme Linking Together for Unity and Empowerment. As Dr. Erika Bennett, chairperson of the Diaspora African Forum, put it, "It is our duty and responsibility of Africans born in America to be intimately involved in the development process in Africa. After all, what we are talking about is the future of our children, African children." According to her, the objective of the Accra meeting is to create a viable umbrella association of diasporan organizations in African countries. This umbrella association, to be given a name in Accra, will have 3 aims and tenets. 1. Provide a viable support network for diasporan Africans who are returning to work and live on the mother continent. 2. Create and promote positive development initiatives for the African world by way of a diasporan think tank and task force. 3. Provide a harmonious voice and intelligent representation for the diasporan African nation in all exercises aimed at the health, empowerment, and upliftment of the African world. The Accra meeting will not be all talk. After 2 exciting days of focused discussion and planning, says Dr. Bennett, the forum will conclude with a Sankofa banquet befitting of the many African leaders and diplomats in attendance. And celebrate we will, because this event will prove to be a catalyst for vast and insurmountable contributions to the motherland. We will move forward with the wisdom and direction couched in the words of our ancestors. And here she quoted the immortal words of Ralph Bunche, the African-American diplomat and UN official awarded the Nobel Prize in 1950 for his work as a UN mediator in Palestine. Quote, "The real objective must always be the good life for all the people. International machinery will mean something to the common man throughout the world only when it is translated in terms that he can understand. Peace, bread, housing, clothing, education, good health, and above all, the right to walk with dignity on the world's greatest boulevards." Explaining further why the forum in Accra is so important, Dr. Bennett and her colleague, who have both worked tirelessly to convene the Accra meeting, said, with the looming reality of Western globalization pressing forward, the African world is currently at a most critical crossroads. Every day we receive from the media stories about the overwhelming poverty, disease, deprivation, oppression, violence, and hunger that our people all over the globe suffer from. Every day we are being force-fed this distorted, hopeless, grotesque view of Africanness and our supposed inevitable end. Although you may not see it on your television, the consciousness of the African masses is growing exponentially. One can currently cite numerous examples of this phenomenon. The Conference Against Racism in South Africa, the Land Reform Program in Zimbabwe, as well as the recent dissolution of the World Trade Conference in Cancun. Considering the fact that the entire African continent gained its independence within a short span of 40 years, this is a remarkable testament to how quickly Africa's masses can unite and organize to control our own destiny. These recent events, among others, have aroused the diasporan community's enthusiasm and energy, says Dr. Bennett. Against all the odds and constant barriers thrown in our path, we, the descendants of the Mafa, commonly referred to as the transatlantic slave trade, are triumphantly returning to our beloved homeland in our numbers, and we are not returning empty-handed either. We are coming home with money and resources. Unbeknownst to most people, the African diasporan nation is within the top 10 richest nations in the world. We are coming home with remarkable knowledge, talents, and skills, despite the stereotype of the diasporan African only excelling in sports and in the entertainment industry. It is a fact that this very diasporan population has been the secret weapon of the world's economic and political superpowers, the U.S. and Europe. We are absolutely replete with top scientists, engineers, military advisors, medical doctors, social scientists, and financial experts who work with the top institutions and businesses all over the world. We are coming home with experience. Our time abroad has given the African in the diaspora an invaluable education in the many strategies and techniques that are used to oppress people. We know the Western world's hypocrisy and do not fall as easily for the okey-doke that our continental brethren seem to be all too often exceptionally vulnerable to. We are coming home with confidence. We fought for the rights to compete openly with our European counterparts and quickly discovered we have an incredible natural ability and talent. We know that we can do anything.